speaks about fear in the gospel. And as we can readily recall from last week's gospel, the gospel continues from last week's naming of the first 12 disciples. And after being called by name, they are now given their brief. We are given our brief. And the first brief is this: spare no one. That means man, woman, or child. It begins and ends with that. Spare no one. Because what we have been called to be and become is gift. It's not about us or what we can do with our raw talents, but it is what God calls us to do. The work of the gospel is not about fear. So the man says, spare no one. And so why are we Christian people so afraid? We're afraid of this, that, the next thing. We're even afraid of being afraid. And sometimes that takes us over. So old people say it gets in our spirit. So we live a life of trepidation. Some folks don't want to come outside. Some folks don't want to be on the road after dark. We run from the world. And the whole mandate of the gospel is that Jesus commissions us to go into the world, into the valley, as it were, to bring light, into the midst of darkness, to give good news, to tell the world that our God reigns. And since our name are added to the list of the first 12, this brief is ours as well. Again, fear no one. We're going to stop there and revisit the first reading from Jeremiah. Jeremiah, a great prophet, even though he encountered his share of problem, and this snippet we get in 20th chapter, verses 10 to 13, Jeremiah dialogues with God. He said, look, I stepped out in your name, but you know, the people are against me. And he is trying to lobby to Yahweh God to do them in, but not only do them in so I can see. He tells them there's terror. He tells Yahweh God, terror on every side. Let us denounce him, they're saying. Let us denounce him. They're saying they must not believe what I say you told me to say. He said, even those who are my friends, watch for me to trip and fall. That could have been said of us today. They are on the watch. They are vigils. Not for the coming of the Savior, but for you and I to mess up. They conjure in their own minds, saying, perhaps he will be trapped. Then we can prevail. Perhaps we can take our vengeance on him. And in the midst of his complaint, he recalls the briefing Yahweh God gave him. And so he continues, he said, but the Lord is with me, like a mighty champion. Persecutors will stumble, they will not triumph. Therefore, fear no one. We too ask God to do our enemies in. And if we had our way, we would tell God to tell them that he's only doing it because we told him to do it. To let them know we are on God's side. Why is it that amongst the Christian people there is prevalent the spirit of vengeance? I got to get you back for what you did 20 years ago.